Welcome back, Kev.
Come on, Alex.
I understand the last trip to the Port Nicholson went well.
Yeah, we went out last week. Unfortunately, you couldn't make it. I kind of missed your company there in this little control room. But yeah, I've got quite a bit of stuff here to show you.
Well, how long were you able to stay on site, and what were the conditions?
We went out. It was kind of we were watching the forecast, looking for a weather window, and I think it was Wednesday. It could have been Thursday. My days have kind of run together here, but we discovered that we're going to have 1 to 2 foot seas with a good 2 to 3 day window, possibly 4 day window. We were literally mobilized for that, and 3 or 4 hours, got everything ready to go, and we booked it out for the sun. I got out there early morning with the intention of one thing: pursue my theory that I came to you with in December, picking up an ingot off the bottom and investigating any other possible locations that they might be out and about. Our mission was to get that ROV down there and only do ROV flights on every slack tide that we came across. Because as you know, our windows of opportunity for the ROV at that depth are roughly an hour and a half, depending on the currents. And we got several hours of footage of the wreck. One of the ingots, which I'll also show you. We are literally this close. We're this close. We get a couple of bugs to work out on our prototype that picks up the ingots, but I know where they are. Like I said before, and we've discovered quite a bit more while we were there.
How many flights did you make, and how much bottom time did you have?
As far as the flight goes, I believe there were 6 total. Bottom time were 12 hours. I got to kind of say that about 4 of those hours really didn't count. The ROV, the umbilical cord got underneath the anchor cable, and we were actually pinned to the bottom for about 4 hours. Serious position, but I have to admit the crew did a fantastic job of working the problem. Nobody panicked. We worked the problem. What are we going to do to get out of this? And through collective reasoning, we were able to get the ROV back to the surface. But it did take about 4 hours. That particular flight was about 6.5 hours long, and I would tell you, I was so tired once we finished that.
So, how were the conditions on the bottom? How was visibility?
It was surprising. The visibility was better, I think, due to this time of year. It was still under 10 feet. However, being such a beautiful day on the surface, we got down there and it was like being in the middle of a blizzard on the first flight. The current was so severe, we're talking 3 knots. It was very difficult to keep the ROV on station. But we were also working a debris field on the superstructure side of the ship, which I knew the currents would be a little bit bigger. Once we re-geared and positioned the ship so that the ROV could operate on the keel side of the ship, the currents were a lot less severe, and we were able to do a lot more work as far as cinematography and getting the shots that we're looking for. I worked the debris side because I know that's where some of the ingots are. Keel side, I'm operating over there because I have 2 targets in mind. I know exactly where they lay on the side of the ship, and that's what the game was. But again, the currents were really difficult to work with, even on the keel side. On 2 different occasions when we're trying to draw down on the ship, the currents would actually push us well past it, and we'd have to reset again.
All right, so I heard you guys saw some really good footage, and or captured some good footage, and got some sonar data. Why don't you tell us about that and show us what you got?
Well, I've got some footage up here right now, but what I want to really show you is the sonar footage. Some of the best sonar footage that we've seen to date. I know that this is kind of hard to read for some people, but this is set at 42-foot range. In these particular sonar shots, the ROV is up on the side of the ship. I'll give you an example. Can you see this?
Absolutely.
All right. This footage right here is on the bottom with the hull of the ship here. The sonar footage I'm about to show you takes place right in this area of the superstructure, right on the wheelhouse. The reason we went here was because the torpedo hole is roughly this area. I wanted to work what's going to be above the ROV before we start playing around with the torpedo hole. And the sonar footage distinctly shows, in my opinion, beyond a shadow of doubt, that this wreck is the Port Line class ship of the Port Nicholson. The reason I can tell you that is I've actually got sonar footage of the davits. This railing is correct. This window is correct as far as its rake. There's even a hole here where the mooring lines pass through. I've got that on sonar. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a discharge pipe here. And that's also in the correct position in these sonar footages and on the ROV.
Hold that still for a second. I can zoom in on that. There we go. Alright.
Now the problem with working directly with the cargo hole, give an example, this photograph of the Port Nicholson shows a lot. The cargo hole 3 is right in this area. If you can zoom in a little bit, see all these cables and all these booms, this is just a mess of cable. We had difficulty with one cable, our own anchor line. If I bring the ROV down in this area, it's very high risk for the ROV. So I need to investigate what all of these cables and all of these booms and possible fishing nets are going to be doing in this area. Because 1, we need to work with the torpedo hole. 2, on the keel side of the ship, right in this area, right off the midsection, is where the 2 targets that I talked about last in December are. The dozen targets that I've been talking about are up in this area, which we also spent some time in searching out. But these are going to be the easiest ones because it hides in the shadow of the tide. So that's why we were here on the superstructure, to learn what kind of hazards are we going to be working with on that particular next mission. Now, let me click through a few things here and I'll give you this. This is actually the superstructure of the ship. Now you can start to see, there's a pretty good shot right there. Back up one. This right here is the sonar of the railing. You've got the windows. You can actually see the rake of this window, which is this group of windows right here.
Absolutely, I recognize those shots.
You can actually see the mooring line hole right here, just forward of the rake, right where it should be. Very clear photographs, not photographs, but sonar pings of this stuff. And as you can see, as I click through, you can start to see the wheelhouse come into view.
Yeah, plenty of obstacles and hazards. I've seen a few of them. Sounds like you came into a few more.
This structure right here is actually a lifeboat davit. And what's cool about that, 1, there's no lifeboat, and 2, they're in the deployed position. You can tell that the crew of the Port Nicholson, during the crisis, they did deploy the starboard side life raft. Pretty good stuff. Let me show you some of the video of this same area.
Alright, let me just change view. Alright.
This is down on the bottom on the keel side. I'm going to fast forward up to the deck. You'll see the ROV just traveling up the side of the hull. Again, this is the bottom of the boat. Port Nicholson lays on her side. So she's just traveling up, and I'm staying very close to the hull so that we don't lose track of her as the visibility is so low. And she's coming up. It's about 50 feet off the bottom. And I'll give you a quick shot of this. This structure right here is actually the stabilizer of the boat, starboard side stabilizer. And then as we traverse the side of the boat, we'll actually come right to its edge. Which is right here.
Now, although the visibility isn't very great and you only see a few feet in front of you, you're still capturing all sorts of sonar data over the top, correct?
This is the edge of the boat. This is where the railing of the boat would be. Again, she lays on her side. What we're doing here is getting the ROV in position, pointing the sonar down into this black abyss. No, we can't see it visually, but the sonar can. Sonar is seeing out 42 feet right now, and it's picking up all that data I need to know about the booms and the cables and where all that stuff is laying. Then, after we got that data, we moved down along the side of the boat here. We fast forward again. But this is some really incredible footage. I really learned a lot about the particular site that we need to work in. And we just had a great window for weather on. Let's go over there.
Yeah, I've only viewed some of the footage so far. I know you have many hours of it, so...
Yeah, I'm just trying to give you some of the highlights. Give an example of...
Oh, I recognize that.
Okay. That right there is actually a piece of a railing. The whole railing section is missing right here. And I believe it's to be because the torpedo impact happened just below it, about 40 feet. See, some of the metal has been destroyed here. The railing is missing. There's one piece of it left. But again, the torpedo hole is right underneath me right now. But again, we're working the top of the torpedo hole to see what's up there. And I'll give you some really nice footage of the wheelhouse. And then this right here, this footage here is actually coming up into this area, right up in that window right there. We're kind of take a peek in there. And you can also see our new prototype hand for picking up objects off the bottom. We do have some bugs with that, but we're working with it. But that is the wheelhouse of the Port Nicholson. Hard to see in all the haze and silt, but that's exactly what that is. And this structure, the sonar, the visuals, what she looks like on photographs, this is the Port Nicholson. There's no doubt in my mind.
Let me zoom in on that other monitor there. I'm getting a little feedback on this one.
Yeah. Can you see that? Like I said, the visibility is very, very limited, but this is what you see.
Yeah, cloudy at times.
Let me fast forward and get you a little bit closer. Here's that window with the rake in it.
Yeah.
Coming up on the rail of the boat. And, it's not just a railing. It's a 3-rung railing, which is accurate to the Port Nicholson.
Yeah, 3 rails on the upper decks and 4 on the lower.
Exactly.
Can you hold that picture up in front of that smaller monitor so I can zoom in on that a little?
Right here, right now.
Yeah, I can see that. Thanks.
Now this is the really unique footage of the structure of the ship, but the mission at hand wasn't just investigating the wheelhouse, so to speak. We were down here to pick up ingots. That's the mission. We were in the area of the wheelhouse, so I thought, well, this would be a good time to get some footage of it because we hadn't had that yet. What happened shortly after this particular footage you're watching, the umbilical cord raised the ROV up about 12 feet out of line of sight of the boat, and then the tide grabbed us, pushed us over the side, that black abyss I was telling you about, and we dropped down into the boom sections. We were able to retreat out of that area, but we weren't able to get back to the keel side of the boat due to the tide had kicked up, and we lost our window. So we reset. But we had a nice 2 or 3 days of being able to do all this stuff. Now there's some footage of what the ingots that I've been talking so much about to everybody.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of it.
Right.
Tapered edges.
Everybody gives me a hard time, like, oh yeah, Kev, that's an ingot. Well, I'll tell you what, I've got a picture of one right now, and there's no doubt in my mind it's what it is. Let me.
Why don't you pull that up?
I'm gonna bring that up for you right now.
Yeah, I've seen it, and it didn't appear that there was any type of oxidation or growth, just light sediment on it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what's unique about this site. It's a very hard clay bottom, and as you know, in the North Atlantic, I don't know if this fact is accurate, but I'm pretty sure it is. I read it somewhere. The North Atlantic produces a centimeter of sediment per 1,000 years. So what's laying down there is exactly how it looked almost when it happened. There's a little bit of sediment down there.
Yeah, a lot different from sandy bottoms where you can dig a hole and within an hour it's filled itself back up from the currents.
Now, You're filming this one up here?
Yeah.
Your object is right up in here. Okay. Now the object, when you see it, it's gonna look tiny. You're also looking at a two-dimensional picture. But what was really great about it is shortly after this particular footage is taken, it came across a modern beer bottle, and we can use that to scale. We know a beer bottle is about 10 inches.
Yeah,
right?
brown glass.
Well, when you compare it to this image of this ingot, they're the same size, roughly the same size. There's been some research done on the refinery in Russia that process these ingots. Their 400-ounce ingot works out to be dimensions of 10 inches by 3 1/4 by 2 1/3, and trapezoidal in shape. The pixelation in these pictures are difficult to see, but it's not bad, and as you watch the motion, you're going to see a trapezoidal figure here. I'm just going to play it, and I'm going to let you watch it.
Alright, let me zoom in on that little corner up there.
And it's going to be right up in this area here, right in front of the claw. Claw is trying to maneuver up on it.
There it is.
Can you see that in your camera?
I can.
What I'm doing here, and as you can see, the ROV is moving all over the place. Those are not completely all my control inputs. Like she's sliding backwards right now. That's the current yanking back on me. It's like trying to land a helicopter in the middle of a windstorm in a canyon. You're constantly trying to stay one step ahead of whatever input is going to be put onto you. But we do get on this thing. This is at the end of the slack tide window. I'm kind of pushing the envelope as far as the capabilities of ROV. Yeah, there it is. And that's what I've been trying to tell everybody, that these things are laying outside the hull, that they've fallen out of the torpedo hull, and I got a great shot of it right here. And this isn't the only shot. My next window, I'm gonna not only just show you one, I'm gonna be able to have one on deck once I get that prototype fixed. What's happening here, you see it all dusting up. We just dropped onto the ingot, and I'm forcing the ROV down onto the bottom so that the current can't move me anymore. It creates dusting up, just like a helicopter would do if he landed on the beach.
Right.
All right. The claw closing, and unfortunately, when we raised up off the bottom, the ROV was yanked back, and the thing fell right out. Which is a problem with the prototype, and we're going to be fixing that.
But you know where that particular target is, and
yeah,
the range off the ship, and
exactly. There's actually 2 targets that I'm going to be working with on the keel side of the ship. I have video of them, and what's nice about it is there's a ground net right about midship on the hull.
I remember that.
That is my landmark. We get to that waypoint, and from there I have a course, and about 40 feet off of that ground net is exactly where the 2 ingots are. And that's what we'll be working on. This particular one was on the way to the ship, and it was random. Didn't know it was there, came across it, and said, wow, there it is.
Absolutely. You know, looking for a big ship, you're not always focused on the small targets, and we've seen some of them in the review footage.
Exactly. Our missions up to now have always been to get on the ship. And she's 535 feet long, but you'd be surprised how hard it is to get on that. We're 700 feet from the surface to the bottom. That ROV takes sometimes over half an hour to travel that distance while it's being pushed on by a big current and tide.
Now that last object we just saw, with the tapered edges, how did that register on the sonar?
The reason we went over to this particular spot as we were traveling to the ship is because we had a hard target fitting my profile of the ones I talked about in December. We traveled over to this thing, very high luminosity again, and then when we get there we see a trapezoidal object.
Yeah, really good to see.
It fits a profile even better than the ones I've had pictures of before.
So what's the next step? Any idea when the next mission will be?
The next mission, the second that window opens up, and I've told Greg this, I said, just, Greg, you gotta get me out there. Get me out there. I am so close to finishing this and getting one of these up on the deck for you. It literally is just a matter of a few more missions. If I can get the weather conditions correct, so I get a nice 3-day window, and I can get a mission in where the tide isn't too severe and drop on that keel side, I'm going to be able to get one of these up on the deck. I have no doubt in my mind. I have no doubt that this is the Ford Nicholson, and I have no doubt in the history of the manifest. And I have no doubt what that is in that video. It's just a matter of time now, Alex. And it's just, we're very, very close to finishing this.
Well, I can't wait. I really appreciate the interview, and we're all looking forward to the next update.
Well, dude, I'm so excited about this right now, and I think everyone else is too.
All right.
And, all right, well, there you go.
All right, thanks a lot, Kevin. Really appreciate it.